Alright, so welcome to our Monday Power Hour stream. As always, we're just going to kind of look at flow. If you got any flow requests, charting, any questions about unusual oils, just feel free to drop them in the chat and we will take a peek and see what we can figure out. But while we wait for some flow to come in, take a peek at the market tide here. Obviously, a lot of put premium coming in now and calls tailing off here, and just kind of looking at that outer kind of little longer time frame here, 14 days out. Obviously we had all those days of net call premiums on the bid side there, so that explains your drop there. And let's see, yeah, today obviously just a lot of bearish volume. Just a pretty, I mean, this is one easily just kind of see there how it's bearish net put premiums coming in, and then your call premiums exiting there. And Tesla was kind of your main driver there for most of the day. But otherwise, I mean, SPY, Hood, and Nvidia are just kind of tagging along there, your bigger contributors there to the puts. Heard a ding here. Let's take a peek at these NTRs, the 618.26, 47.5 puts. So spot price, and we'll come back and take a peek at that cough after. Oh, they're all wanting to come in now. Now we're getting flow. Look at that. So we're gonna kind of go quick through these. So this, I probably wouldn't take too much time to kind of analyze something like this. Obviously your spot's coming in at 170, your bid ask is 165 to 180. I consider that kind of more of a mid or on the bid side fill there. 200 some days out, you are seeing a large spike in that put premium. Obviously your biggest kind of day of premiums here since back on, what is that, the 13th there. So just kind of looking at that flow quick there. Hop down here and take a peek at the flow. So I don't like how that flow, you see how that IV decreases here towards the end. So you're sitting at 33.01, then you drop here. That's typically a sign of a sell. Again, that's not 100% going to be science and work every single time, but that IV drop there does kind of tell me that these are potentially sells at the ask here for NTR, and could make a little sense here. Obviously you're 17% out of the money. You're down pretty big on the day here, about 3 1/3 there. So I have to kind of see what happens with that one. Lighter volume on that one, but let's see. We had some other hits here as well when talking there. So the cough, let's see. So again, this one right away, just for video purposes and education purposes, I'm gonna hit that, and I gotta, one of these days I'll remember to actually mute the notifications so they don't keep popping up. A cough, just again for educational purposes, we'll take a peek at this, but if I've seen this, obviously not on the live, I'd just pass this over. Obviously you're coming in at the mid there, your bid ask is 280 to 290, it's getting filled at 285, you're right in the middle, but we'll take a peek. And again, another one that's down about 5.5% on the day there. I'm not a big fan of chasing that flow that's already down a lot on the day. But let's take a peek here. See if we get any clues in this one. And right away, you can see kind of right when that flow starts to come in, your previous IV was up there. Drop in your IV, drops again a little bit there. Coming back to that 36.75, and then we drop again here towards the end. So again, another one that looks like they could be possible sells at the ask there, or well, technically at the mid there with that fill. So the QUBTs, 12.19.10 puts, these ones look good here. Your spot's coming in at the ask. We'll want to check that size because we do have a lot of volume on the day as well. So this one, so 1,000 candles there, 500 there. This is our whale here, so about 1,500 or so, give or take. This is one where you'd want to double check that open interest. I mean, your candles are very, very similar size there. To me, that could be, you never know, it's either a double down, they're passing them off, or they're closing at the ask. So you'd want to see that open interest be a little over 4,000 tomorrow to kind of confirm something like that. But again, we'll take a peek at that flow feed here and see if we got anything that sticks out to us. And again, if anybody has any contracts or charts they want me to pull up, feel free to drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go off what's on the flow feed. HIMS and NBIUS, got it. Any specific contracts on those, MIG? No, just flow. Okay, got it. I will hit those two for you next. So the QUBTs, again, here's your IV decreasing here. Yeah, I'll pull the NBIS for you guys first, and we'll do HIMS. So 1 second here. So yeah, your IV here again, you see how it decreases when that flow comes in. It's still kind of decreasing after. And then, well, that's the one from earlier, so that's your first candle up here, the 1143 candle. So already that's kind of suspicious there to me. So then this is your candle that we were just previously looking at. Again, IV decrease there. And then even though it pops here at the end, again, one of those ones when that IV is kind of bouncing all over, you can always find another better piece of flow that does match all your clues. But I'm going to pull up the NBISs for you. So 1 second here. So NBIS, let's see. What do we got for our highest contracts on the day? Just kind of looking right here. Bid side there. Everything else is kind of pretty much split down the middle. 4-day call. We can take a peek at that one. We got another 4-day call there. So this one, again, a lot of previous open interest. That's what I don't like about it, because you don't know when that original whale exited, or if they're making a change to their position at this point here. I'm just kind of trying to do a quick view here of that volume and open interest here. So it looks like most of that just kind of sporadically coming in. A lot of volume there on 811. Not a massive amount of open interest change. So 5,000 there on 825. I wonder if, I don't think I'm going to be able to get back that far. Oh, yes, I will. So 825. So it was a lot of bid side that day. Just kind of looking this over. So it looks like, what day is that? The 2nd, 9/2. I gotta find 9/2 here. So you had a lot of volume on the 2nd there. So it looks like whatever that was, possible adds there at the bid. And then I want to look at the volume for 1022. 1022. So 4,000. So whatever. So I think, just quickly glancing at it, these ones, I think these whales got in here at the bid. Sold some there on the 22nd because you got that. A lot of volume there and a bigger decrease in open interest. So contracts probably passed off there. I'm just trying to see where this one was because it's got a lot of volume on there. Then you got some more volume today, obviously. Yeah, you'll want to check that open interest on that. But I'm going to go in here and see if I can find anything better for the NBISs, and I'm going to pull up that specific contract as well. Yes, 116, 140. So that's that bid side one from, so bid side today. So the 116, 140 call, I'm not seeing anything really interesting on this one. Obviously, you had the big volume here on 1027, 4,000, and that was definitely an opening volume there. 27. I want to go back and look at that. So 1027. So yep, that's definitely opening volume there, how that came in. Obviously just based off math alone there. You look at your 1027, 4,000 contracts, it does not go into the 2,700 that where it's currently open, and then you see most of that carry over anyways there. So that's telling me you had a large whale open that day. So the 11th, 12th, and 13th are sticking out to me here. Getting a lot of volume, but not massive changes in the open interest. So let's go back here now and so I said the 11th, 12th, and 13th here. So your 11th, 12th, and 13th. Yeah, so you're getting a lot of bigger spikes there in that volume too that day. So I don't really see a big specific whale there. And this one, 1,300 contracts, this was on the 14th. Again, that dropped off, so whatever that was, most of that closed out there on Friday. Yeah, so that specific chain I've not really seen anything with. Let me just double check mine. So some ask side puts here coming in. So some pretty good premium here on weeklies. Sitting half bid and half ask though. Let's look at our feed to see if we get any clues. So your IV decreases, so these might be put sells. 132.09. Yeah, so your IV dropped when it came in, but you didn't really see it make any major moves. Obviously, the move there to the 132.41, it's one contract, not a big deal, and you're sitting 1 cent above that bid. 28. So it's an hour later, so we're not gonna go with that. Yeah, I don't like those puts there, and I mean, again, you're sitting ask side. I think they may be selling these puts though, but that tide is also really, or the net premium's also really goofy on that. Yeah, I mean, your price, if you're looking at that net premium, the gap fill, you have a ways to move up as well here. And you're 5% out. Yeah, that I'd probably lean sells here on this one. Just trying to see what else. And then you got bid side calls here. Let's see what else we got on the internals. We looked at that. Let's just go 14 days out. So essentially, yeah, you still have that one upside gap that wouldn't have filled with the net call premiums there. Now you see that downside one here, how that price finally caught up and hit that essentially. Hit that level there. How's it looking for gamma? Yeah, I mean, you're still seeing positive gamma, so it's not negative. Just looking at our historical numbers here. So our top levels were hit there. You're pretty in line there, obviously, for that gamma level. I mean, you're diverged a little bit, but it's not massive like when you were up here and then had that drop down there. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything really interesting for the NBISs. I'll do one more quick check for you. Yeah, I mean, your highest open interest one, that's 424 days out. Yeah, I mean, and it's just mostly weekly kind of mixed stuff there. How we're trading today, 0.97 of the 30-day volume, so pretty in line. Yeah, nothing super interesting there. We'll look at hymns next though. It's a good one there though, where you gotta kind of dig into it a little bit more. Let's take a peek at hymns, maybe. We'll see if it lets me pull it up. Come on, there we go. So hymns, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. Let's start with the 50Ks. Keep in mind we're down 6.5% on the day too on that. So you got a long-term call coming in here. I'm just scanning for premiums. Smaller premium on that one. It's coming in as a block trade. You're not going to get anything out of that. Bid side call. So bid side puts here. These are interesting to me. Pretty big size here. 75 there. Oh, they're deep in the money. Okay, ignore me then on that one. The deep in the money stuff I'll ignore usually. Yeah, so nothing massive on there. I know we did have that one 11-day out one come in here, and just kind of looking at your net call premiums here too, you still got a ways to move up, probably hit that 42 level to fill that gap. But when we looked at this flow here, you look good because when you come in, you see that IV just sticking up there. Your flow's coming in at the ask. That is an interesting one to me. And then just kind of looking at the fundamentals of it as well. Again, we'll pop this back out 14 days. You see a lot of positive net call premiums here. And specifically back here starting on the 11th there, just last week. Big spike, big spike. We haven't made a move up yet, so looking for a move to come fill that, essentially those two upper gaps there, even that one there. Well, you'd have to fill that one, that one. So there's some upside net gamma gaps there that are looking to get filled there. And let's see. Yeah, your highest volume contracts on the day, obviously you're mixed there. It's just all weeklies. Nothing massive sticking out to me. Nothing massive on the open interest. And the one thing that's interesting to me is you're down 6.5%. You're only trading 0.53 of that 30-day volume. So that's telling me that it's not a massive sell-off here. And I do want to just take a peek on the daily here. Just doing a quick little chart look, and I should probably do it on TradingView. I don't know why I always try to go over to Webull and do it. Alright, let's take this. Look at hymns. I can delete these two. I thought that was a daily. I was like, oh, that's an ugly chart. Okay. I mean, your daily is essentially the same thing. So, I haven't charted this, so let's redo our little charts here. So just kind of looking at the, and move it to the weekly here. Just kind of looking at that weekly here. I mean, you're sitting at a good spot here for, oh, come on, get out of there. Good spot there for a possible bounce there. Tighten up that trend line a little bit. And we'll move this back out to the daily. So if you were looking at those 11-day out calls, adjust this just a little bit. So I'd have my spot here on the daily. Obviously, when you look at your RSI as well here, this has been a spot where you typically bounce. You are also very oversold here as well. So I would put this as, let's see, get this little line coming in here. So you are, and I wouldn't want to break that up trend there. So let's tighten this up just a teeny bit more. I like it a little bit more here. Yeah, that's, you are, oops. Okay, here we go. So you are essentially coming back in your the demand support zone here, but to get into that, you're gonna have to break that uptrend there. So that's the thing I don't like too much about that one. But I would almost, I mean, with that other, where do we go? The 11-day out call flow, like I wouldn't mind putting on a chance for a bounce here. I mean, just the last, come back here, since the end of October, I mean, we are down 31%, so more than likely probably see technical bounce at some point there. And with your other fundamentals lining up here, I mean, you got your net call premium spikes there, puts really dropping off here. I might actually throw on some of those HIMS calls because I like those actually. That actually looks like a pretty decent setup. And let's look at our gamma on it too. So gamma is negative though. I like the net call premiums a little bit more than gamma because gamma, again, can take a while to make a move. Like here you started seeing that negative gamma February, and we're just kind of already chopping below. I gotta find a better example here. So okay, like your positive gamma here, you started seeing a lot of positive gamma April there, and it took us, I mean, a little quicker than most, but for the most part, yeah, this one actually kind of runs pretty in tandem with that price. It's not a massive, so this would be kind of a better example here, not the best example on the HIMS one here, but like you see all this positive gamma here. So essentially you're waiting for price to get back up to these levels. This started coming in end of November last year. You didn't hit those levels until end of February of this year. So typically it will take a little more time. The net call premium gaps tend to, I don't want to say move quicker, but you'll usually see a little quicker move on something with that. So I kind of like those HIMS, especially just kind of looking at those technicals where we're sitting on that chart there. Could look for a good bounce there, and my risk would be probably a closeout below on the daily on that uptrend there. But if you wanted to get brave, you could hold it to the bottom of that demand zone there. Alright, let's see what else we got coming in here. Clean up some of these channels. So let's see, we had the CCJ 1121.77 puts come in. Massive spike in that net put premium today. So 7% on the money, 5% multi-leg. These are weeklies and you're already kind of getting clapped on the day. Yeah. Let's see if we got any clues. So this one coming in essentially is a block trade. Again, your bid ask 56 to 70. You're coming in at 65. It's a little more towards the ask side, but I don't see the massive urgency now if they came in at 70, possibly, because you do have that IV spike, but that's just telling me they're not probably being as aggressive, thinking there's more downside on that one. Then you're just getting clapped, and you are getting a lot of call volume as well here too. How's our numbers look? And again, that net call premium too, you're seeing that spike in that put premium. This just means there's ask side premium coming in. So again, keep in mind you can sell premium at the ask. So that can always sometimes, I don't want to say confuse, but kind of make people think, oh, there's just a lot of put premium coming in. Well, it can be coming in at the ask and it can still be a sell, essentially. So that's why you like to kind of see flow go along with your theses there. Let's see. Like, let's go back to the CCJs there. Like, now if we go and look, like, let's see how our contracts are today. So a lot of bid side contracts here. 4 days, so those are the ones that just hit the 77s, I believe. Yep. Oops. Let's go back here. So the 77s, that's the one we just looked at. So some longer dated ones there, and then you've got a massive amount of put side or bid side here. And this one, to me, just doing a quick little view here. So this is definitely an opener today on the 70 puts. So let's take a peek. 92 again. This one's almost coming in at the mid, Phil, so you don't get a good clean read on this. And this is a block trade because you can see all of that coming in at once. And I know we did have a little more before it, so let's see if we can kind of see it. So you see how that IV drops here, and then you got more size and premium there. Then your IV spikes there, and then it drops there. So like something like this, I think you might want to lean. These are sells at the ask. Have to keep an eye on that one. You are sitting 15% multi-leg too as well, and you're 15% out of the money. A lot can happen in 32 days, but after that beating today, and what are we trading at for volume today? So 0.95. You're down kind of a lot. Yeah, I would probably lean those are sells at the ask there. Let's take a peek at these 515 VFC 15 calls coming in at the ask. Got some previous open interest we got to take a peek at, just make sure it's all valid. So we had some flow here on the 9th, so let's go back to 10-9 and double check that. So perfect example here. Here's your flow, 1,723 contracts, 1,691. Very, very, very similar there. This is one where you want to check that open interest tomorrow for sure. Because let's see, so they were at 214, 211. So either this whale is probably A, doubling down, so you should see that open interest be above 3,000 tomorrow. B, no change in the open interest, which would be this original whale passing off those contracts. Or C, they're closing them at the ask for a small loss there. So then you would see that open interest drop by about just roughly 1,600. So that would be a very, very probably couple hundred for the open interest there. So definitely would want to check that one there. But that, kind of looking at that flow here, let's see if we got any clues. VFC is consumer, blah, 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 some lifestyle brand thing. I've never traded VFC. I see it all the time, but I haven't traded it. See, footwear, accessories company, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yep, you got it. I just see all these symbols and I barely even just kind of remember it. So at first glance, when I see these, they do look like buys to me here. Flow's coming in at the ask. Your spot's filling at the ask. Following this up, IV's staying the same. No major changes. I would say this flow looks good, but you just have to double check that open interest tomorrow. That is the big thing there on that one. Let's see, what else do we got? BMNR, a lot of volume on the day already on this one. Yeah, one, you gotta double check that volume tomorrow. So roughly we'll say 4,000 there. 1,100. 1,800. 1,830. Yeah, you're getting close volume wise to match that main candle there. So would want to double check open interest on that one. Obviously you're down almost 10% on the day, and you know, a lot of volume spikes here anyways. They could just be trying to get in more at the ass, because you're down 13% on the day, and not down, you're 13% out of the money, and you're down 10% on the day. The odds of us continuing to go down are probably a little slimmer, and I do see that IV decreasing here as well right away. So let's just take a peek here. IV. So IV spikes there actually. And then your IV is just kind of popping around all over the place here. On that kind of, I don't want to say larger size, but like this is your larger size one here, but you do have a drop in that open interest there. And then a drop in that open interest on the IV there. 160. So then it spikes there. Yeah, that one's all over the place on that one. Obviously your IV is going to be a little more elevated and kind of off as well too on something that's down 10% on the day. Everybody thinks it's going to keep going down. Probably wouldn't touch those 13% on the money with 4 days left on them. Let's see what we got. So it looks like your downside net call premium gaps have been filled as well. Just not seeing a lot of support to go up though. Nice volume. So the 20, so those are the ones we just looked at. Everything else is kind of 50%-ish or so. Some more puts here. Trading 1.11 times the 30-day volume there. And you're pretty much in line with your gamma level, so nothing major sticking out there as well to me. Yeah, probably wouldn't hit those ones. Let's take a peek at these 116 SPT10 calls. Definitely an opener. Obviously 1,000 contracts coming in here. Only had 341 open on the day. 1,000 will not fit into the 341, so easily know it's an opening trade. So this one's interesting. So you're down about 4.5% on the day, 4% out of the money, 60 days. I like the big spike in that net call premium is this. So this is 37% of the total volume today. We're trading 4.31 times that daily volume. So you're seeing on those big up days, you're seeing stronger this one. Looking at the wrong one there. So you are seeing heavier down days on kind of those stronger volume days. So nothing major really sticking out there. So net call premium, obviously, to fill that massive gap there, you're going to have to make a move back up. Let's look at our flow. I'll tell you right away, this one looks pretty good, but we'll do a double check. So repeated hits ascending fill, that's just telling you that spot price is increasing as that flow comes in. We'll go find where that's happening. IV spikes when it comes in, that looks good there. So send and fill, you can see it right here, how 93, and then you're up at 1, then it kind of drops a little bit there, then you pop back up. So let's follow this up. So 77.86, so some smaller drops in the IV there, but then you pop again. It's following this up, so small drop there, about $4,000 worth. So those look interesting to me. And I want to look at the, let's see, some more stats on it. So you also have the 12-19 10 calls to kind of go off of there too, where you're seeing more ask side volume there as well. This one, so 500 contracts, you're just getting a lot of smaller contracts in here. So yeah, you want to double check open interest on probably this chain. But this fresh new chain should all carry over there. Just kind of looking at your gamma as well. Yeah, this is looking for an upside move at some point here. You have all that fresh new upside gamma. This is SPT is really interesting here. I'm gonna throw this one into the chat. I'm not typically a fan of those slower moving under $10 stocks, but this does look interesting to me for sure. Let's get this in our flow alerts. And I need to save it. Yeah, that's a really interesting one. That one might come back to the flow and charts. Actually, I want to look at the chart on it. Oops, why am I trying to type in trading view? It's SPT. Sprout Social. Well, not much to go off of on the chart on this one, but we are sitting obviously at all-time lows. So what the hell is Sprout Social? Oof, that year to date, oof. Online social media management tools for businesses, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I've never heard of them. But yeah, I mean, obviously, pretty ugly, ugly chart there with us trading at all-time lows there. I mean, that thing was just February, oh no, last year. Just January of this year. I mean, you're down, trading at 34 there. But yeah, I mean, it's showing, I mean, Gamma's giving me a really good indication that this at some point should pop. And then even with your net call premiums, whoops, let's go back here. Like now, if we back this out 14 days to get back up to this, to fill that gap, your price is going to have to hit that $11, $11.20-ish it looked like up there. $11.25-ish to fill that gap. So get a $2 move on that. That's a significant move on something like that. That is an ugly chart though. I really like that him setup though on that chart though. I really want to grab some of those hymns. Yeah, I didn't even look at the earnings on it. Oops. Yeah, you beat earnings, you beat revenue. I mean, I don't know how their balance sheet and cash flows and all that look, though, obviously, without pulling it up and taking some time and looking there. Man, I'm keeping that HIMS. Actually, I'm going to keep the SRP or SPT there, too. Those look interesting to me. Some shop flows just seen in the feed. 286. Okay, so two different strikes, not earnings, definitely opening trades. This is interesting to me right away. ugly net call premiums here. How do we look 14 days back? Yeah, I'm looking for a move up here. Let's look at our flow. 726. So now your IV drops, and that's gonna tell me, no, don't go after it. And my guess is here, coming at that 369, this is more than likely, I'm gonna say, probably part of that same trade there. Just a lot of screen time, you can kind of read. I mean, you're 9 seconds away, decent size, kind of matches some of your other bigger sizes in here. So I just don't like how that IV drops. And then even if we just pretend this whale isn't part of that, obviously with that IV drop, that's kind of a turn off there on that one. But that's the 144, so let's look at the 146. So your 146, obviously net call premium is going to stay the same. Opener, 5% out of the money. I gotta get a drink here. So I like so again, another one actually. I was gonna say I like it, but then I saw where that's coming in there. I'll show you in a second here. Purple stop sign, 1 second. So the shop calls again, your IV pops when it comes in, then it drops, and this is part of that trade. Just coming at that second, this is 99% for sure the same trader probably. If you have that IV drop, probably not good. I just want to look at the fundamentals on it. Yeah, I mean, to fill that gap though, that's gonna have to come back up to that 180-ish level on there. That might be a little bit on that. Came for it a little bit on this one, but didn't really get that full fill. But you're not seeing a lot of put premium here, which is also interesting. So you're some weekly calls coming in here. Looks like they're kind of jumped 180. Unless they have some massive news there. 144, 11 days out. And the 146. So those are your two big ones that we just looked at. Trading 0.70 times the 30-day volume. And I just want to look at gamma on this. Yeah, gamma's still showing me a little downside there because you are starting to get some of that negative gamma there as well. And it does look like all of our levels got hit all the way up there. 200-ish. Came close there. Yeah, those shops, they look interesting there, but I really like that net call premium setup on that one. And you do have that flow, but that floated with the IV decreases, I didn't like that. So purple stop sign, we did have, come back here. So we did have that earlier 11/28/38 call, a little more shorter term on those, 11 days out. So I would probably say if you wanted to be safe, I would aim for at least 11 days plus on something like that. And my risk would be a close below that uptrend on the daily, and it already looks like we're starting to bounce off that now. And then I would probably put some resistance here if you can, let's put in some resistance here. Probably put it at that 38 spot if you can get a good move up. Obviously you're getting killed on the day, so more than likely see a bounce at some point. And well, I don't know if you were here when I did it or not, but pointed out since kind of the end of October there, I mean, you're down 32%. More than likely, probably going to see a technical bounce. So let me clean up some of these. And that Hims whale is still in there as well too. And it is starting to kind of come back a little bit there. How was that QBTS whale coming? Kind of just choppy on the day. Yeah, a lot of choppiness here. That SPY, looks like that SPY whale is probably getting out here. Yeah, a lot of volume on here. I'm going to guess it's not going to be a massive open interest change on that. Those are net puts from Friday. Massive move today. I think those hit 100%. You know, over 100%. 370, 713 today. Then Verizon. I didn't look at these puts yet. Hey, you're finally red on the day. 34 trading at 27. Little time on those still. But premium's picking up a little bit. Hearing some dings, so let's go take a peek. So the LRCX, smaller size. Look at it for educational purposes. So spike in net call premium and net put premium. So it does look like one where that IV is kind of decreasing. So IV pops when it comes in. Spot's coming in at the ask. 552. And then your IV drops down to that 55.41. And then you pop again to that 55.61 on bigger size. I would probably, and then you do have a still coming in at the ask, but that spot drops there. This is one 123 days out. This is one I'd probably want to sit and kind of chart out, just because that flow, well, I guess it wants me to chart it out because I went over to LRCX. Just when that IV is always kind of goofy there. So sitting at all-time highs there. They were 123 days, so I like to start on the weekly and the longer term and just kind of work my way in. So we'll do some adjustments here once I get some lines started here, and that's going to be a really ugly line there. So let me fix that here. Pop it back down to the daily. Yeah, you don't get a really clean trend line on this one, I would probably say, with what we have here. And I don't typically like having that many candles outside of the trend line. It makes it a little tough. I just don't have anything to really go off of on this one, but I would probably draw you a little demand zone or supply resistance zone in this area right here. So a good little spot there, and even if you just kind of got rid of some of the further out candles and just kind of went up here a little bit, a little better, but it's still not really clean trend line on that one. I would probably, just for the sake of it, go out a little bit longer there. You'd have to have that ugly kind of gap in there. So that would be my kind of uptrend there. So if you were looking for, was this puts, could always take it as a momentum with a break below that. Do we have any gaps to the downside that got to get filled? Is that a gap right there? I think I see a small little gap. Yes, I do. So you got that gap at 128 to about 130-ish there. That has to get filled. So if you see that break, could see a move towards that. And I do want to, again, take a peek at our underlying info on it. So the 123-day puts, those are all ask side. Then you have 60-day calls, ask side. More longer term puts, or shorter term puts here. Wonder if these, well, these just kind of came in. It's only 172 contracts, so nothing massively whale-ish there. Trading 0.45 times the daily volume. Let's see what we got here. So typically, nothing major outline here. 2 times, you got a 2.6% day. Everything else is kind of Not 2.32, you had a big green day there. Highest open interest ones, bid, nothing ask side there. Gamma. Yeah, Gamma's screaming downside there to me at some point. Still a little positive Gamma there, but still seeing some cracks there with the negative and kind of the pullback in the Gamma. So I'm starting to see that pullback in that price there with all your levels hit already there. Let's see, we just saw some more CLC ask 9 puts here. So big size. This one's interesting to me. 16 does overlap earnings, but we'll take a peek at it. Down 3% on the day. So a lot of put volume today. Nothing massive for bid side call activity. Only call activity there. Looks like we hit that there. Let's take a peek here. So again, here's your IV just all over the place on this one. So IV spikes 104.84. 484, then you drop down to that level there. Yeah, these may be sells at the ask, and obviously with earnings coming, you don't 100% know. Earnings 100% going to be a gamble no matter what. 101.70, yeah, that IV is decreasing all the way up here too, and that's a very educated eye and just a lot of screen time. Look at your timings there, pretty similar sizing. Probably a sell at the ask, but again, earnings, so we don't 100% know. And I didn't look at my gamma on it. Yeah, you're pretty much in line there, so nothing major. Doesn't look like anything is unfilled on gamma levels, so interesting one to watch for earnings for sure, though, with the massive overlap on there. And this is probably not earnings flow, just because earnings are 2 weeks away, 60 days out, but you never know. That's the issue with earnings. Google calls. So a lot of volume on the day. We'll see if we can actually pick out this whale, though. 1,000 contracts. I just want to double check here. So 455, 160. So a lot of still seeing ask side call premium, and that's wild too. I actually need to pull up one more thing here too after Google here. So your IV does set that 35.58. So spikes when it comes in, 35.58. Drops a little bit here, then we pop back up, and then we continue to rise on this extra flow in here too as well. So again, it's showing your timings. You're about a minute after, but just kind of looking at that time. This is probably all part of the same trade. Again, educated guess, you don't 100% know, but just kind of eyeing those times. You're all coming in at the same second. And you just see that IV kind of increasing here. So these do look like, again, your timing there. These do look like buys here at the ask, even though it's not taking it as all part of one trade here. Just an educated kind of eye there. You can just see that IV rising that entire time. So this is going to actually go back into the flow alerts here as well. That actually does look pretty good there. Oh no, sorry, and this is where it catches you at the end too. 36% multi-leg. So you'll always catch little things there. So that is not going to go on the trade thing, because over 36% is no good for me. I am 10% and below for that. So a good little catch there before that. I do want to come back and show everybody one interesting piece of flow from the flow recap. And this is why I always say you never know what that whale actually knows. Here was that original whale from last week. Filled it or this would have been from Friday. When was the 12th? 12th was Wednesday. So again, you never know what that whale knows. So these came in at 107. They hit that 123, so you can get a nice little 20% scalp, but these were trading at 33 cents on Thursday afternoon, and then you had Google News on Friday after the market. Hit 217 for a high today. So you never know exactly what the whales are, what they know. But like this, and that's kind of why I always, when I do the flow recaps, I look at the full move of the contract just to, because you never know what the whale knows. Like this was obviously news driven. This whale was waiting on news, and it looks like most of that is actually still in there as well too. So that is interesting to me there. Let's see what else we got for flow coming in here. Got a couple minutes left. How's the market finishing? A little recovery into end of day. Come back up to the VWAP. And then ETF flow, obviously we hit that SPY flow earlier. The IWM stuff, there's just so much volume on this stuff where it gets hard to just know what's what. Like, can you tell me here where the whale added, closed, all that? And usually IWM does have a lot of multi-leg stuff added to it, so I kind of will avoid it. Just multi-leg. So these ASs just hit 805. Low multi-leg, close to the money. A lot of net call premium. What is going on? That thing's spiking there. We got earnings. Earnings. I was like, what is going on here? Earnings flow, you don't even have to really look at the contracts because that's just, it's not going to help you anyways. It's all going to be driven on the conferences and their reports. So yeah, otherwise I'd say that looks not good because you have that IV drop and you're spiking there as well. Firm 4-day outputs, really bad bid-ask spread, spot 46, 3,000 contracts, definitely an opener. Big multi-leg, only doing this for educational purposes where we kind of look at it. So you see your big multi-leg trade here, and this is a really messy one here where you got calls, puts. Not a fan, and I've never even heard of that. What the hell is a long jade lizard? Never even heard of that. Never even heard of that thing. Just popping in the profit calculator, see if it tells us which way it's supposed to go. So it looks like wanted to finish within that, within these. Yeah, this is why I don't trade multi-legs. This is exactly why I don't trade them. I can show you when something's rolling, but I do not sit and do all the spreads. I'm not a big fan of them. Alright, minute, where are we going to finish? Come back down a little bit. How did we finish for volume today? Alright, I'm just going to look at the volume here, and then I'm going to probably hop off here because we are done for the day. Volume, hey, we're right at the 30-day average volume. Above on utilities, above on healthcare, below. Ooh, consumer discretionary had a lot of volume today. Yeah, we had a pretty good volume day, it looks like. But, alright, everybody, thank you for hanging out for the Power Hour stream. I'll probably do another one of these tomorrow, maybe at a different time. But have a great rest of your evening, everyone.